Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this adorable tablet cover, a little bag for your cords, and more. Something for your glasses too. Make sure you grab the free pattern on our website. You'll find it under Free Patterns, Tablet Case and More, Advent Project 2023. And first thing we got to figure out for making our tablet case is the size of your tablet and how you're going to cut your pieces according to that. So I have my tablet, which measures across 8 and 3/4. 8 3/4 across, and then the length, the height is 12 inches. So according to the pattern, we want to cut a piece that is 1 inch wider than the tablet that you have. So this could be a smaller tablet, could be bigger, whatever dimension you have. So my wool piece that I'm going to cut for my case is going to be 9 3/4 inches by the height, or the length of the wool piece needs to be 2 times the height plus 6 inches. So 2 times the height is 24 inches for me, and then I add 6, and so that is going to be 30 inches. So my wool piece to fit my tablet is going to be this size. So let's go ahead and have all our pieces cut. I have my wool cut here into that size. And then I have cut all my cork pieces as well. So we're going to start with the wool, and we're going to make a little marking. I'm just going to use a chalk pen. So I have just this roller chalk, loose chalk here. And I'm going to measure from the height, from the edge of the wool, 1 inch less than my height. Remember, my height was 12 inches. So I'm going to measure 11 inches from the edge. So I'm going to use my Strabology ruler. I know that this lip is 1 inch. So I'm just going to go to the 10-inch slit and align that with the edge of my wool piece. And that's where I'm going to make my mark. Right here. And then I'm going to take my piece of cork that I cut at 3 inches, and all I'm going to do is cut it apart diagonally. So I'm going to just find a ruler, lay it corner to corner, and then carefully cut my square apart so we have a triangle, 2 triangles. Now these we are going to sew to our wool. So I want to place it about 1/8 of an inch. You can just kind of eyeball that however you want. And I'm going to just hold it in place with some clips. And we're going to do that on both sides. And you want to make sure that you put thread in your sewing machine that you want to use for the whole project. I chose a similar color that I have for my cork, but a little bit duller, lighter and duller, so it will blend in nicely. And I'm using a 40 weight thread. You can of course use 50 weight or anything else you have, but I am going to now top stitch around the whole triangle, attaching the triangles to the wool. And I want to stitch about 1/8 of an inch on the inside of the cork all the way around. But before that, I'm going to add one more piece to the other side, the other end. This becomes the flap. So I'm going to take my cork piece that was 3.5 by 2 inches, and I'm going to cut 2 slits into it. So I like to just do it on the back side. So I have my wool piece, my cork piece, and then from the corner I'm just going to measure 1 inch, 1 inch in and 1 inch down, and I'm going to draw just a line. I'm going to stop at the inch mark, And I know you can't see that very well because it's dark, so I'm gonna just show you with my chalk. So you wanna do that on both sides of the cork. And then we're also going to find the center of this edge. So I am just going to fold it over and then mark my center here. It doesn't have to be completely accurate, but as close as we can get. Just gonna take scissors and cut into my cork piece. Just that 1 inch on each side. This is going to become sort of a closing flap for our tablet for the flap. So we found our center here, so I'm just gonna find my center on the cork as well. And we're gonna place that right here in the center. And same thing, we want to place it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And so now I'm going to stitch around. I'm going to hold this in place again with some small clips. But before I do that, I'm also going to grab one of my small pieces. This is 3/4 by 2 inches. And so I'm going to grab also the little D ring that we have. Just slip that onto this little tab like that. And then we're going to clip these together. And this is going to slip right underneath here and be caught in that seam when I top stitch around. So I'm going to find a little bit bigger clip so to hold this in place. So I'm going to slip it pretty far underneath so I'm sure to catch it. And the ring, the hardware is looking good. I'm also looking at centering it between these two sides. This looks good to me. And now I'm going to clip it in place with my bigger clip to hold it. So now what I'm going to do is top stitch both the triangles, and then around I'm going to start here on the outside of the slit that I cut and stitch this way around the whole piece and over here and down on the other side of the slit. We're going to leave the center of it open like this. So I'm going to go over to my sewing machine. I have put my thread in both the bobbin and the top, and then I have my walking foot on to help me sew through all of these layers. So now I have top stitched around. I got into a little bit of trouble with my clips getting in the way when I was adding this, but you can always remove them and place it back. So now it's time to fold up our piece. Now one thing I want to do before, if you want to angle the corners a little bit, you can. So what I do here, I just mark about a 3-inch, so, or even length from here, which is I have about 2 1/4, so I'm just gonna do a little mark, or 2 3/4, a little mark here and here. Same thing on the other side, 2 3/4. And then we're gonna cut an angle here. This is optional. You can do that if you want to. And so I'm just going to use my rotary cutter. Like that, have a nice angle for our flap. So now it's time to fold up our tablet case. So we're going to fold it along that line that we drew here, like this. And just going to clip the sides again. Grab some more clips. And what is beautiful about both the cork and this wool is that it has, it's okay if we just sew on the raw edges, it doesn't fray, and just has beautiful, clean, crisp, raw edges. Like that. So before we sew, we want to slip our tablet back in here. So I'm going to just clip this like we would have about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to slip my tablet in, and now I'm going to fold down my flap. And this is so that we can know where to position our strip that we cut, the same width as the tablet wool. So what we want is wherever our strip will be, we want to be able to pull this flap over so it secures. So for me, that would be right about here. So now I'm going to just clip this to hold it, like so. And now we can just unclip this and pull it back and take our tablet out. So this is the perfect positioning for me, for my tablet, but I always encourage you just to test it and make sure you test it with a tablet inside. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start sewing up here. You want to back stitch. This is right where the wool ends, and we're going to stitch all the way down and then back stitch a little bit here at the way bottom, or at least secure your threads by sewing a few stitches in the same spot. So now I have sewn each side here. If you were pretty accurate on your 1/8 inch seam allowance, the seam will just go straight into those seams on the little triangles. Now my flap is, or my strip here is secured, and time to test our iPad case. Slip this one in, we pull this underneath, and then we pull the flap, and it holds everything in place. All right, let's move on to a little pouch for our cords. We're going to take our wool piece that you cut for the bag, which is a 5 by 10.5 inch piece. And then we have our 2 5-inch strips from the cork. We're just going to position these on. First one is just going to be a 1/2 inch down from the edge. So no need to mark anything. I'm just going to lay my ruler and lay this strip right across. I'm going to grab my clips and clip it in place. Like so. And then we're going to take the other one, which is going to be further down. But before we do that, we're going to grab our small little strip, which is the 2 1/4 by 3/4 of an inch, and our swivel clasp. We're going to slip that on to here. I'm just going to put a little pin because normally we don't want to put pins in the cork because it's going to perforate it, but I'm going to put it right at the top here just to hold it together, and this top is going to get sewn into the seam anyway. So then we are going to be placing the next strip 3 inches from, I'm just going to turn this, 3 inches from the top. So I have my edge here at the 3 inches, and then the second strip is just going to be here. But we also want to place this tab with a swivel clasp underneath to catch in this seam. So I'm going to secure this here. And before I do it on the other side, I'm just going to center my swivel clasp, open this up, and I'm going to pin this to the wool just so I can leave it in place and I can pull this out easily, the pin easily before I go across it. So this looked good to me. You can also make sure that you are centered. It's 5.5 inches on each side. So I need to move it a little bit down this way. So there we go. And this one goes across. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stitch these guys to just top stitch like we did before to the wool, and you want to go all the way around both pieces. I'm going to start with my kind of tough piece that has the big thickness here, and then going to do the other piece. So now, as you can see, I have added my little strips and stitched the little tab with the swivel clasp in there. So I'm going to just trim my ends here, looking good. So now we are going to fold up the bottom side to 4 inches. So I just want to mark 4 inches here, and that's going to be my fold line. Do it this way. So that's where I'm going to fold up. Create the fold like this. So you'll see that as we pull it forward, the strip is going to be on the back with a clasp. So I'm going to clip the sides, and then I'm going to stitch on each side just like we did with the large tablet case, and back stitch at the ends. So now we have our little pouch for the cords for your tablet. We're going to fold this down, and we're going to be adding a snap here, but we're going to make one more thing. You, of course, can make so many different fun things with this wool. This is the same type of wool that is used in your wool pressing mats, just thinner. So 100% wool, and so love the look of it with the cork. But let's set this one aside. I'm going to make one more thing, which is an eyeglass case. So I have a piece that's cut at 5 by 8 inches, and then I'm going to grab my cork square, which was a 2 1/4 inch square. I'm going to put a little corner on it, just like I did with the iPad case or the tablet case. So I'm only going to use one because I just want to put it on the one corner here. And again, I'm positioning it about 1/8 of an inch from the edge here, and then we'll top stitch about 1/8 of an inch inside the cork. And then I'm going to add a little loop to go over to close our case. So I'm going to position that on the top left corner, just like that. It should be about an inch from the edge, like so, and then an inch down. So what we want to do here is stitch kind of a square just to attach this, and then go corner to corner in the square. So I'm just going to leave this here. And we're ready to do our top stitching first. So now I've stitched my 2 pieces on, and we're just going to trim our threads. That looks good. So now we're just going to fold our case in half the long way, like this, and I'm going to clip the sides. Now, one thing just for aesthetics, if you want to, you can make a little curve on especially the top fabric here, just so that it's easier to slip your glasses in. So I'm going to just eyeball a little bit with my scissors just to do a little curve here. This is of course optional. So now that when I sew this together, I'm going to start sewing about here and going all the way down and across the end. So here we are. I'm just going to snip my threads, and this is looking really cute. So the last thing we want to do is add a snap here so we can close this. And again, we wanted to add a snap to our little cord bag. So we're going to take our snap kit here. It's a full kit, so you don't need any other tools except for a hammer. So we're going to open this up, and what you'll find the tools, which is this bar, and then the base. The base has 2 sides. So the top concave one is for the top snap to fall in when we're putting the top snap in, and then the other side is for the bottom. So we're going to find there should be 4 different pieces. So we're going to find 2 tops, and then so they should have a stud, and then we have the bottom piece that also has a stud. And then we find 2 pieces here that is, this is for the top. I'm going to show you, it is kind of concave with a hole in it. That should go over for the top piece. So I want to find 2 matching ones here for that. And then we have 2 bottom stud ones like this. And they are different from the tops because they have a hole through it, and they're just like this on the other side. And then we have the bottom pieces here. So one more tool that is very helpful if you have a stiletto or something sharp. You can also use really sharp scissors, and sometimes I use both. So first off, we're going to mark where we want our top snap here. I'm just going to find the center of this. So remember, this was 5 inches. So 2.5 about is where we want to put our top snap here. So we have to punch a hole so that we can put that post in. So I'm going to just dig a hole with my stiletto. Now this may not get wide enough, so sometimes I just use my scissor, I open them up, and as you push that through, the edge of the scissor is going to kind of pierce the sides enough so that you can get that stud through. So this is our stud. that is going to go through here on the other side, and we got to make sure it gets all the way through. Sometimes, because it's both thick wool and thick cork, we may have to cut a little bit out here to be able to fit this in, and then go all the way through. There we go. Make a nice hole. And so when we push this through, we should be able to pull that little stud through like this. And then this piece goes over it like that. And then we're going to lay the kind of oval side of the snap on the base like that. And then we're going to use our tool. So you'll see that our tool has a little thing punching out here, and then it has a flat side. The flat side is meant to use the hammer. So grab a hammer. If you have just a craft hammer, that's great. All I have is my heavy duty hammer. So all you want to do is place this right over the center where the stud comes through, and then we're gonna hammer this down. And you will see that the stud will kind of hug the sides of the snap. So this is now secured in here. And now we want to find the other side. So where does this, I'd like to try and line up my strips of cork to find the right positioning. And then I'm just going to mark exactly where that is here in the center. That's where I'm going to put my inside bottom piece. So I'm just going to punch a hole through. And use my scissors, a little bit bigger hole. And now I'm going to take this part, which is going to go on the inside. I'm going to push that stud through. Doesn't quite want to go through. I'm going to cut a little bit of this away. So I love these Karen K. Buckley scissors. You can go and get really fine work and clip stuff away. So now it goes through easily. And then this one is going to be placed on the other side of that base. So it's going to fall right in place here. And then we're going to take the top piece and do the same thing, put this in the middle and hammer down. And now it is secure on the inside, outside. I can flip this over and snap. There we go. So we're going to do the same thing with putting the outer snap here on the cork flap, and then fold that over and put the other piece down here. Now the snap is in place, and we can fold it over and snap this closed so your glasses don't fall out. You want to make sure to have a little space here so that there is a little easier opening, and then you unsnap there. So we are ready with all of our fun accessories for a tablet. Now the reason why we put a D-ring here is so that we can have our cords in the small bag and just hook that right on with our swivel clasp so you won't lose it. And then of course a really fun way to store your glasses. I hope you enjoyed making this tablet case and the little bag for your cords, and you can make so many more things with this beautiful wool material. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.